let's talk about something that's, well, it's really tough, but so important to understand. What happens when a child who once adored a parent suddenly and completely shuts them out for no clear reason? This is called parental alienation, and today we're going to look at what's really going on for everyone involved, but especially for the child who's caught right in the middle. I mean, really, think about that. How does this even happen? A kid has a wonderful, loving bond with their mom or dad, and then, boom, it's like a switch flips and they want absolutely nothing to do with them. From the outside, it just makes no sense. And here's the thing. The answer isn't as simple as, oh, the kid is just being difficult. Not at all. More and more, we're learning this isn't really a conscious choice. It's actually a deep biological survival mechanism kicking in when a child is stuck in this impossible tug of war. So let's go a little deeper. Let's pop the hood and look at the science of what is actually happening inside that child's brain. The key idea here is something called toxic stress. Okay, think of your body's alarm system. It's great if there's a fire, but for these kids, that alarm is just blaring 24/7 and there's no one around to help them turn it off. That kind of constant, high-level stress literally starts to change the architecture of their developing brain. Now, check this out because it's pretty surprising. You'd think a kid under this much pressure would have stress hormones just going through the roof, right? But what this chart shows is that in the vast majority of cases, we're talking 63%, their response becomes blunted. Their system is so overloaded that it essentially starts to short circuit. They stop reacting to stress in a normal way, which is a huge red flag. So, what happens when that system short circuits? Well, it's pretty clear. The brain's fear center, the amygdala, goes into overdrive, it gets hypersensitive. At the same time, the part responsible for reasoning and impulse control, the prefrontal cortex, it gets weaker. So you've got a child who is literally being hardwired for fear and reaction, not for calm, logical thinking. Okay, so that's the science, but what does this rewiring actually look like day to day? Let's get into the telltale signs of what's happening. You know, experts have seen a very clear pattern emerge. First, there's this campaign of denigration, which is basically a fancy way of saying the child develops this all-consuming hatred for one parent, often over really small, almost silly things. And there's this complete lack of ambivalence. It's all black and white. One parent is a saint, the other is the devil. It's how their mind is splitting the world to cope. And maybe one of the biggest giveaways is when you listen to the child's reasons, and they just don't sound like they're coming from a kid. They're using adult phrases, talking about adult issues they couldn't possibly understand. It's like they've been handed a script, and now they're reciting it as their own story. Now let's flip the coin and look at the other side of this. Let's talk about the parent who's being rejected, because they are truly in an impossible situation. And it is so important to separate this from what's called realistic estrangement. That's when a child pulls away because of actual legitimate reasons like abuse or neglect. With alienation, the reasons are vague and illogical, and the relationship used to be really good. In an estrangement, even when a kid is angry, you can often still feel the love underneath all that pain. With alienation, it's just cold. That's a huge difference. The parent on the receiving end of this is caught in this awful psychological trap. I mean, if they get upset or frustrated or angry, completely normal human reactions to having your own child turned against you, those very emotions are then twisted and used as proof by the other parent. See, I told you they were unstable. It's a total catch-22. So what on earth can a parent in this situation do? Well, experts advise taking a non-defensive stance. That means you stick to just the facts. You work incredibly hard to keep your own emotions level, and you always focus on the future, not on refighting old battles. It's about becoming the calm in the storm for your child, even when they're pushing you away with all their might. The damage from this is severe. There's no sugarcoating it. But healing is possible. So let's take a look at what that long road to healing actually involves. This number, it's just staggering. 70%. That is the percentage of adults who went through this as kids who later suffer from depression. This shows you this isn't just some messy family drama. It has profound, lifelong consequences for a child's mental health. But here's the hope. As these children grow into adults, a lot of them start to question the story they were told. They get some distance, they hear other perspectives from family, and this can start a sort of waking up process. And that last point is so crucial. If the rejected parent managed somehow to maintain contact with love and compassion, even from a distance, They provide a bridge for their child to eventually find their way back. So really, it leaves us with this huge question. As a society, how can we do a better job of protecting a child's fundamental right to love both of their parents without being put in the middle? It's a conversation we really need to start having. Thanks for digging into this with me today.